Okay,
Yeah, we are
fine.
live.
Live
Hi.
it started. So,
Hello. I can see that we're all ready for this amazing section today. If you're connecting from YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, today just going to be talking about scholarships and how we can balance work and PhD. That's one aspect that it's very intriguing. Most people have been caught in the web of that work-life balance, especially for PhD students. And today, it's not just going to be just a regular webinar. Today, we have an expert here with us who's going to be sharing a lot of tips, practical examples as to how you can juggle your way around work and PhD. That's if you are studying for your PhD, regardless of what discipline you are. So if you're connecting from Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you can just drop on the comment section your expectation for today's webinar, and where you're connecting from, so we can get to meet ourselves in the comment section. Yeah. So while we're doing that, right? Just want to read the bio of our speaker today, right? And I think she's going to be giving us a lot of tips from her experience. So today we have our guest here, Tuksu, right? Tuksu, one of the conversations we had prior to this meeting was she was sharing her experience, and the truth is, PhD wasn't easy at all, and that's what everybody will tell you. It's not easy, you know. And she spoke about how she was able to manage PhD and work as well. Tuksu currently work as a consultant at the World Bank, where she holds a doctorate degree in transportation, planning, and urban engineering from Yohoma National University. So prior to joining the World Bank, she interned for Asian Development Bank as a transport specialist in road safety and low carbon transport implementation for both Mongolia and China. Interesting. She also worked as a transport consultant for the municipal of Alberta on developing integrated transport master plan. Her PhD research mainly focused on public transport, mobility as a service, mobility impact on social issues, and planning and policy implementation while working for JOMA's Association in Tokyo as a research assistant, where she gained knowledge in international and Japanese innovative mobility solutions. That's a very rich bio, I must say. Right. If you want to learn more about our speaker today, you can find her on LinkedIn as well. You're going to see a lot of work she's been doing with the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, including her research work as well. So I'm so happy to meet you, Tuksu, right? And I believe our audience is very excited to meet you as well. So I would want to pass the mic to you. You want to if you want to reintroduce yourself to our audience, you can go ahead before we go into the main conversation of today. Yeah. Thank you very much, Tuksu.
okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction, Precious. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for reading all that out. And yeah, hope that gives a bit of like a glimpse about my study and career. Again, thanks for joining. For everyone. So it's 8 p.m. in Japan. It was a bit of a struggle for Ikiko and I try to manage all the time difference. So good morning, to you guys. I'm originally from Mongolia, and as Precious said, I did my master and PhD in urban planning and transportation in Japan. So it's been in total 6 years in Japan, and now I already started working as an urban consultant at World Bank Tokyo. I live in Tokyo, and yeah, I'm really happy to share my experience and what I learned, what was good, what was challenging, and what are the things that I wish as a PhD, I did I should have done during my studies, but as we mentioned, today's title is combining PhD and work, right? So we will mostly focus on career development and a lot of like how to network, how to also work and internship during your research. And that also includes even like developing your LinkedIn, how to reach out to people while doing all your studies, right? And I also, like during my studies, I also translated a book. It was not fully related to my study, but it was a big project that I worked on. So to manage all of this, like how do you prioritize, or how do you like time management, or like something I've tried to adapt every day. And I know it's a learning process, but yeah, those are the things that I just want to genuinely share with all the PhD fellows. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Yusuf. Thank you so much for that brief introduction about yourself. There's one particular question that I believe our audience would also want to get clarity about, right? You spoke about the work you were doing, right, while you were studying for your PhD, right? So what was that experience? Like how did you balance PhD and work? Hi, Maureen. Maureen just said she's connecting from Nigeria. Welcome, Maureen. I hope you're gonna get all the lessons that you get from the section. Welcome, Maureen. Please, if you're just joining, right, we have Yuxu here. Yuxu is our guest for today, right? Yuxu will be telling us a lot about how she was able to balance work and PhD. Hi, Ernest. Ernest is joining us from Germany. Hi, Ernest. I'm glad that we have people from different backgrounds and different countries joining us. And trust me, it's going to be very elaborate, it's going to be very practical as possible, you know. So if you're just joining us, just give a little brief about who Yuxu is, what she does. Yuxu currently works with the World Bank, right? And she did her PhD at Yohoma National University, right? And she also is a transport consultant for the municipal of Alberta, right? And she's also working around mobility impacts, public transportation, mobility as a service, and also policy implementation um, when it comes to transportation. So I would say that she's an urban consultant specialist or an urban transport specialist. Am I right, Yusuf?
Yes,
Right.
that's something that I want to call myself more like urban transport. Yeah,
Okay.
uh, yeah, it's that's something. I mean, I guess transport people would talk about, or urban people, because in the field when you study, like we studied as if it's the same thing basically, right? Transport goes under urban, but when you actually work, it
Okay.
can be quite like separated. But I prefer to call myself as urban transport, because you cannot just build road or public transport without integrating it with the urban planning. So yeah, I would
Yeah.
say my urban transport consultant, but the work that I'm doing right now, I go as a urban consultant. But we do a lot of like urban related projects. So that's even includes like solid waste and disaster
Mm.
risk management and urban and land. Yeah, so many. I mean, you say if you talk about city, it includes a lot of topics. So I guess to answer to your first question, right? So how I get to even work. So when you come as a scholarship, I came here with a mixed scholarship. It's a percent scholarship from the government of Japan. So so I did not. So, yeah, so with this, sorry, like, can someone mute when there's a bit of a background noise? Okay, so
Hello?
yeah, I don't hear now. It's okay, but there was a noise. Um, so when you come with a scholarship, you are allowed to work, but you need to get a permission first. So you're not allowed to work full time, of course, because you're getting a scholarship from the government, but you can do part-time jobs. So for that, you just get the first sort of uh, permission to work from the from Japan, and then I started doing like internship when I was a master student. So in Japan, you can do internship with the paid with paid. So it works as like a long term internship. So my first ever internship was at this planning consultant Japanese company called 𝐃𝐚𝐭𝐿, and my university was in Yokohama, but the office was in Tokyo. So it was a long trip all the time, back and forth. But it gave me a lot of idea of like how is it to work after you graduate, right? So that work I did it for 2 years. So basically during my entire masters, I found like my like just mindset when I started my graduate was I just don't want to be only studying. I also want to like work and like I want to find something I can put it on my CV, just like to plain. If you put it like it's just simple, right? So I really try to work and apply here and there if there is any possibility. So first ever possibility was that 2 year work. It went really well, and but at the time it was something that I realized. Okay, I don't really want to work for Japanese consultant company. That's what I thought. And then, of course, I applied for also Asian Development Bank. At the time, I was finishing up my master's, and that went really well. It was something that I realized, wow, this is where I want to work, basically. So international development bank or any like international organization was something that I found sort of it just inspired me in many different way, and I got so lucky at the time. Although it was during COVID, I was not able to travel to Philippines, but I still had a chance to work from Japan during COVID, but on Mongolia, so on Mongolian projects. So which was something I really enjoyed doing because I didn't really get to work in Mongolian with Mongolian people. And end of the work, I also like worked with China as well. So it was just really interesting just to hear very different backgrounds besides Japan, right? So that was something I realized that that's something I want to do. And then during that time, I also got a chance to work for the Mongolian government. So it was also online, but they asked me to work as a like really transport consultant. And yeah, that opportunity was also very great, where I get to really work with many different Mongolian experts and working on the master plan in transport. And last, so it's the third like done all these three works, right? So the fourth one that I did was purely related to my PhD research. So I studied mostly about math, and there was this association that my professor was the director. So I get to work as a research consultant for also 2 years, over 2 years, actually 2 years and a half a year probably. So that that was something was it just like all made sense because that was already my PhD sort of topic. So I sort of used the knowledge that um, I was getting during my PhD, and then the work was pretty much simultaneously similar with my research. So, yeah, it. I mean, for now, let's just put it all out there, all my like sort of experiences, and so we can deep dive into like one by one, or like how you really get to manage. I mean, it was not easy, especially when I did my ADB work, because when I was working for Asian Development Bank, it's almost like a full-time work, right? So I get up in the morning, I need to decide whether I want to do my PhD research or my work. So some days it was just like me juggling between work and so yeah, so we can deep dive into details. I'll stop it here. Sorry, we cannot hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ixo. I think you spoke in details as to what you're currently doing now, and how many jobs you were able to juggle while still studying. So I want to ask, right, and get more clarification. So for someone who is doing a PhD in the UK or somewhere in Japan or Germany, right? What is the minimum working hours required for them to work?
Yes,
And
so
if they are under a studentship, right? What is that going to be counted among their working hours for
what is
studentship program?
yes,
Pardon?
so for our scholarship, yeah, thank you. For our scholarship for next, right? It's 28 hours a week. So that's the total amount that you can work. But like when it comes to some of my work, we were not really able to count some of the hours. So I have a feeling that there might be cases where I worked more than 28 hours. But
Oh,
yeah, but you have to count it. It depends, like different work does a different like a tracking time with your time. Some really give you like every 1 hour, yeah, 1 hour, 1 hour, and then you look
yeah.
at the end of the month you will receive so you work 30 hour or let's say 50 hour, I don't know. But some of my work I was not really able to, like, because of the salary system, I was not able to really track the time. But yeah, that's the limit. It has to be 28 hour a week, which is actually not that lot. It's lot, yeah. I mean, sorry, which is actually not that it's not like, yeah, it's quite amount of time if you think 28 hours a week, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So sometimes, you can be caught up working extra hours, right? So is it okay for as a PhD student, you do something outside what you're currently researching about? Does that affect your balance when it comes to your research work?
Oh,
For
totally.
example,
Yeah, totally. It's up to you if you can manage it, right? It's just a question of whether you can manage it or not. Uh, what made sense to me was, yes, sure, like my PhD study was about math, so I ended up working for that association that who was doing exactly the same as what I was doing at my PhD. So it's easy for you, right? You can just like, oh, I knew some of those things, or from your work you hear new stuff and apply it to your PhD. So it's good, it's win-win. But for example, with my book project, that when I translated it, it was just really
hmm
different from what I was doing. But I enjoy it that way because, like, I found the beauty of doing completely different from what I'm doing. You know, I think that's just my personality, perhaps. Where, yes, I enjoy my PhD study and work, but at the same time, doing something different gives me a bit of this excitement, let's say. So, yes, there's no limitation of uh, the scope of your work unless it's just about a question of whether you can manage it. Yes.
okay, interesting. So thank you so much, Yusuf. So if you're just joining us, I can see that while you were talking, we have lots of persons who just joined in as well to the conversation.
Yeah, so
So we discuss.
right,
Hello.
sorry to disturb, but I was just saying, like, if any of you guys have a question, you can stop us and ask the question in the comments, yeah. Or do we want to
Yes.
ask in the at the end of the session?
Yeah, so I was about to say that. So if
Oh,
you're
okay.
just joining us and you have some questions, can you just drop your questions on the chat box? Yes, and
Yeah.
Yuksu would respond to those questions.
Sorry, it's Tuksu.
Tuksu, Tuksu,
Yeah.
Tuksu, Tuksu will
Mm.
respond to those questions. Thank you so much. I also want to share. I also want to ask a very important question, right? Is there a way you can get more funding for your research work, if you're doing, for example, you're already on you're already on a sponsored PhD, and you want to get more funding to write a new research, possibly. Does that work?
Yes,
Or is
yes.
that counted as work? Okay.
How did it work? You mean like to
Yeah,
get a
okay.
fund, right? Besides your scholarship?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. If it's different, right? Scholarship is only paying for your tuition fee, and they're giving you salary every month. But if it's research related fund, then yeah, it's up to you. If you can find any research funds, you can get. As for me, I did not get any. Yeah. Mm.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And while we were having this conversation,
Hello.
Ejiro just walked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So Ejiro, welcome. Good to have
Thank you
you.
so much.
Right. So
Thank you.
Ejiro
Thank you.
is the host for this webinar, and I'll be handing over to her to continue
Yeah.
the section from here.
Yeah.
So welcome, Ejiro. Yeah. And
Thank
thank you
you,
to Tsu
Precious.
as well.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Princess, for
Tsu, we're not
taking it
done with
up.
you yet. So just hold on. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Precious. Thank you for filling in the last minute. And please do stay with us if you can. It will be so nice. Thank you so much. And thank you, Doctor, for also having this section. Just before we continue, I see we have people joining in. So I want to just say thank you to Maureen. Hi to Enes. Hi to Adekunle. Hi to Hallelujah. A lot of people. So I won't continue. Just hi to everyone. We'll keep on displaying. So those on LinkedIn and Facebook, just drop your name. So I know that Precious stopped at the book. So let's continue from the book. So Doctor, can you tell us what was your most challenging aspect when you did the translation, or what did you enjoy the most?
About the book.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was the most challenging year, to be honest, during my studies because I just got accepted to the ADB work, which was like almost full time. It required quite of time, and my PhD, and just out of nowhere, I decided to translate a book, which happened also quite as a surprise. Um, to just tell you, to give you just a story behind it. I think you guys know Tuesday with Maury. It's quite popular book that was published 20 years ago, and they even have a movie about it. So when I was traveling in Japan at the time, I met this guy who ended up being Maury's son. Maury is the teacher who is in the book. So during my trip, I started reading the book on my Kindle. I downloaded it. I started reading, and I met the son. I did not know that he was the son, right? So I had a really interesting conversation about like Zen Buddhism, or like really interesting topic about like philosophy in general. And I got his Facebook and like, oh, like, let's keep in touch. And I came back from my trip. I realized there was a post he's saying that my dear dad Maury, and I was so in shock. And I of course texted him that, hey, I'm reading your dad's book. I really loved the book, and of course we met. And then I just loved the book so much, and I was about to tell my parents, hey, can you find the Mongolian version and read this book? And then they say there isn't any Mongolian translation. So I and my friend, so I call him now my friend, who's Maury's son, was, you should translate it, Tukso. You can, you can. Like, why not? So that's just how it started. So back to my story, the why it was challenging is, yes, so I had three main things in my cup, yeah. It's PhD, the ADB work, and then this book translation. Although it was challenging in the beginning, I started to question myself, like why I started this whole thing. Like
Yeah.
who told you to, yeah, who told you to translate a book? Like, how, like, are you gone insane? So that was sort of my question. And of course, it's so difficult. Translation is really difficult. Like even if you know, understand the entire meaning, you just cannot put it out. So there were days where I'm like on my laptop and literally thinking like 3 4 minutes and not knowing what to say. So but over time, like after probably 1 month later, I start to enjoy, simply because I also told Precious where, because PhD is really serious, you have to
Yeah.
really focus. So you're using your brain so much that if you use your brain like on that level a lot, like reading and writing and reading and writing and trying to understand and analyze, you get exhausted. But it's all in English as well too, right? But when I was working on my book translation, I was using like even a different keyboard, which is Mongolian. So that started to make me excited because it's so different than what I'm doing right now. So I, even for my brain, I started seeing it as a break for my brain, or like vacation for my brain, like because it's so different, makes me to just shift into this really different, let's say, room, right? So yeah, that's how was the journey.
Okay. Just before, because Cautious might have questions to ask you, but can you mention what's exciting? Because I know you mentioned, you said when you said translating, like why who asked you to do that? Because I can relate with that for my PhD. At times I'm like, oh my god, what am I doing a PhD? Who asked me to do that? I'm like, some days are not, I just not it. So can you tell
Yeah,
us what is exciting during the journey of translating the book? Because you've mentioned what was not. So what was your most exciting experience? I know finishing it was a good feeling, but what else was your exciting experience here?
exciting experience in terms of the translating the book, right? Only.
Yeah, we're still on the
Yeah.
book here.
Yeah, as I just said, it was just so different than what I was doing with my PhD in work. So that's why started getting excited, right? You just like, oh, I want to go to, I always go to this different cafe. So my day look like I wake up, I do my PhD till like 12, because that's where my brain is really sharp and clear. And then I could do my ADB work a little bit. And by around 5, I just leave. I bicycle 10 minutes and I go to this different local cafe. I sit there, I work like 2 hours till 7, and I go to gym. So that became like my routine. But from 5 to 7, that hour became this exciting thing later on, right? Like I just want to go to the cafe and just write about it. And then the book, if you guys read it before, it's really beautiful book, but it's also really sad. So you will cry a lot. So although I cried because it was sad, but I also cried more because it was beautiful. So that was something I was later on like excited. By the time that I was like close to finish, I'm like, I don't want to finish this book, like it would be sad if I cannot work this on this anymore. So you would cry alone all the time, and that was just exciting thing. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. My co-host, Precious, do you have any follow-up question?
So, what you just said now, right? It's very practical because I've got a lot of friends currently doing their PhD and tell you how depressed they are. You
Yeah.
know, of they tell you how overwhelming the research work is, the environment, and everything. So, do you think that it's, while you're trying to combine this, how do you manage your mental health, right?
Yeah.
Combining your work and PhD.
Yeah.
What's that balance? How? Like
Yeah.
leave everyone to know how.
No, that's the only like common ground when it comes to PhDs. No, it's so lonely. Like, come on. The whole
Mm.
journey, I think I was kept saying sometimes, I'm trying to also like analyze how it's going, everything, right? Like my life in general or my study, everything. And I realized the PhD itself, technically, yes, it's challenging, it's difficult, but it's more challenging and daunting and it's depressing mentally. So
Mm-hmm.
I think before I started, someone told me who was doing his PhD, like it's gonna be challenging, especially here. So and then like just mentally, basically. So
Mm-hmm.
I think many times I questioned why am I doing it? Why like why am I doing it? Can I just quit now? Or like, there was many times like that. But then I think I just started to really enjoy working alone at some point. In the beginning, it was really lonely because it was also COVID time, and only person that you can talk to about what you're doing is your professor, right? So I think as a human, we just want to be like really relate to everyone, right? So like we want to have like same problems. You talk to your friend and like, oh my god, I dated this guy or like something. So we want to have, and your friends would say the same thing, and we want to feel something similar with someone. But with PhD, I did not have it. So that's why I felt like no one kind of like, who am I gonna talk about my problem basically?
Mm.
I was glad in a way that I had few really good friends, maybe one, two good friends who was doing PhD too. So only time when we meet, it felt like, oh my God, man, like this journal, like, oh, like we have the same problem. So I felt more really related to my friend's problem. So I think that is something which has helped. But then, as I said again, like I kind of enjoyed working alone. I kind of enjoyed the fact that I can manage my time. So because it was COVID, everything like my research was fully like online. So that then that way I could really manage my entire day. If I want to work out in the morning, do go, right? If I want a day take off on Monday, I can. So I started to enjoy that freedom a lot. But it can be also really difficult for other people, right? Some people might not
Mm-hmm.
do it if they have such freedom. So to me, I think I'm just in general, like I believe in discipline, right? You wake up every time and just get into routine. So I like to have some sort of like a system. So as I said before, 5 to 7 was my book translation time. So I always have this sort of like, it's we're like a robot at the end of the day, like if you just create some certain system that works for you. So that means you need to, of course, understand yourself first. When should I work on this? Or what should I eat? Then how that would help for my mental health. Or like how many hours should I sleep in order to feel the best? Like your energy level, all that relates to what are you doing too? What are you doing in your career? So I believe in that, and then I really tried to improve myself, in order to feel great, in order to feel satisfied with what I'm doing, not just only PhD. So I think it applies to all the other area aspect of life in general. So sorry, like I'm not sure if I answered. So, but I think that all kind of comes together at some point, and yeah,
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much,
thank
and
you
thanks
so
for that.
much, Tuxer.
yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I have a question for you. So my question comes from what you said. Precious asked on well-being, and you were mentioning it. But you also talked about. You keep mentioning system, time management. You mentioned for you it your best is in the morning time. So I want us to talk about this time management. Actually, I know you've touched it a bit when you answered the well-being, but I want you to really talk about it because one issue a lot of people face, especially PhDs, is time
Yeah,
management. In PhD, there isn't any system. You create your system. So
yes,
for masters, there's a timetable, a school timetable, a curriculum, so you have to follow it. If you miss a class, you are on your own. But for PhD, if you're not careful, you end up misusing your time because you are your own boss. It's an
yeah,
independent person.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
So tell us how you create the system, how best to do this time management. What's important, what's necessary, just other stuff. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very important. But as I said, I think it's still. Sorry. I think it's still. What? Sorry, very sorry. Somehow,
Okay.
sorry. Um, so yeah, I think it's still a learning process. I think I have a feeling like where people just have really different way of doing it, and I tried just many, right? When I was a kid or at school, I would just write it on my paper, just a small paper, like what I need to do, right? To-do list. Everyone does it. So I've tried that. I watched just many YouTube videos how to like manage your time. And now one thing that really helped me to get things done is just prioritize. It's really simple as that, because we think like there's so many things to do, but if you really look at your like list of to-do list, if you can only focus on like 2 3 things that is really critical, that's something you really need to finish today, then you just focus on those and get it done. So that's like how you feel great about when you finish your day, basically, right? When you finish your day, you know, I had 10 to-do list. Yes, it's long, but I finished the 3 things that's really important. So that's just the mindset that I try to have every day. So you can focus on the really important thing, because we tend to delay, or we tend to procrastinate, delay the things that is really important, because it's so difficult, right? So let's say if you like need to go through your paper and finish the reviewing, you always like, it's gonna be a lot of work to go to the entire paper, but it is the most important thing to finish it this week. Then do it. So that was sort of the mindset. But also the I think the second important is, first, yeah, prioritize, but second was because I was kind of hard on myself, right? I would say like, oh, like I need to do more and more, or like if I did not do well. But then it's also something to realize where if you're fully like 100%, if you're really happy and energetic and rested, that's where you're 100%, right? So that means you can finish things really quickly too. So if you're tired, just get a rest. Don't try to finish it. Just get a rest and wake up next morning and finish it in just 2 hours, right? When you're like focused. So that was also something that I now do really try to do, and like really, getting a good rest is so important. Eating like a good meal, even, right? So any stress, having a good friend to talk your problem, or those things kind of matter to feel 100%. And if you're feeling 70%, you're doing the work that you can do in 2 hours, in 5 hours. It's getting delayed because you're not feeling the best. So tune on yourself. I think like I try to listen myself, like how am I feeling. If I'm feeling tired, just ditch the work and just get a glass of wine and sleep. So yeah. And yeah, in general, I think there I could say like a little systems that I try to do. But to me, the prioritizing part, and I used to even do this table. So the first table is important, the most important, and most urgent. Important but not urgent. Not important, not urgent, don't do it. Not important, kind of urgent. So like this kind of like prioritization to system to really put it on your, because I'm a kind of person, if I have a lot to do, I need to write. I really need to put it on a paper, or even on my laptop, and to know, okay, these are the things that I need to do. If it's the most important and most urgent, then do it instead of wasting your 2 hour on something that is not urgent. So yeah, that's something I try to apply even now, and I think it's again always learning process, and you change sometimes, right? So
Yeah, thank you so much. Before I know Precious have questions to ask, and before she does that, it's just I think it's things that are important but are not urgent, things that are urgent are not important, things that are not important and are not urgent. Like we as PhDs or workers, you have to um categorize your activities into that tax, into that. I think it's I don't know. I'll search for it and try to share it, but so we can know that some things are actually not important and not urgent, but we waste our time doing that. So that will help you manage your time. Like that's those systems.
yeah, Exactly. Yeah. Those systems is something that it helped me really well because I mean, of course, when you're just starting, you also don't know, right? Is that urgent or not? But just
Yeah.
really taking time to understand what's on my table, what I need to get done. And of course, like if it's a big, for us, also something to me, like as a PhD was challenging is it's a big, like you need to write a journal, right? Publish it, and that's just feels like it's a big bubble, like big thing, and like where do I start was more like a challenge, like what is important, right? Should I just read like 100 paper and what? So I guess that takes a little of time, right, of course, but in general with any type of work, trying putting that kind of system that works for you. If you like to work in the evening, do so, right? And just having like a bit of sharp mind, get rested, and to know. And I feel like in life, although we think that there's so many things to do, but if you really prioritize, there isn't much like really essential things, right? So there's book one what I the one of the book that I read, it really changed my mindset on that is essentialism. So like what's essential in life. So if you know what's essential in life, if you really can clarify that, not just in of course in life, but more like let's be talking about more PhD, right? PhD in work, then just focus on those and ditch the rest, basically. Yeah, this is my golden rule. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Precious, you have a follow-up question, or do you have another question? Precious, can you hear me? I think you're muted. You should be muted.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tutsu. That was
Mm,
quite explanation. Yeah, I think I have one question as well, but this is
yeah.
relating to creating or finding that benefits attached to working on networking, right? So when we have this both, how can they impact the work we do in terms of the our PhD and our career development? How can we find that impact?
Impact on what? Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
But
So
PhD.
okay. So I said, right,
Mm,
most of our listeners here wants to understand the benefits of working and networking, right?
mm,
And how we
mm.
can find that the positive impacts in this both working and networking. So what's the benefits having these two merged doing your PhD program and also your career development front?
What's the benefit of basically? What's the benefit of networking?
Yeah, networking and working. Remember, the topic
Uh,
today is balancing work, right? And PhD. So while you're working,
During your
right?
PhD is
So
what
what's
you're
the benefit
saying.
of
Yeah,
working and also
yeah.
networking at the same time?
Good question. Thank you. And I understand. During your PhD. Well, as I said earlier, my mindset was like, okay, I really don't want to be only doing my PhD. I also want to do other stuff. I really want to work and understand different companies and something I can put it on my CV too, you know. I just don't want to be only like publishing paper and finish my PhD. I try to also of course like see myself, okay, in 5 years I'll okay, but like the best scenario, I will get my PhD, right? But when I get my
Yeah.
PhD, what else I want to do? What else I want to put it on my paper? So that was some. The one thing was just like work or do some internship. So to do that, of course, I think the one of the first really important is just network. And when I did my networking, it was mostly so when someone comes to my university and did a speech, I go and ask them question. I go in and like, hey, thank you very much. I love what you do. This is what I like to do, and that's what is something I do. And I always get their Facebook or their LinkedIn. In Japan, LinkedIn
Mm.
is not that big, but I would always get their LinkedIn or some contact information. And once you friend on some social platform, you will get to talk with them at some point, right? Of course, it depends, but that was something I really tried to do, and like connect with people and just ask question if I like what they're doing. So that's something helped me to get some of the opportunities, right? Even this current job, or yeah, it all like any project that I worked on, somehow maybe even half of it is through networking. um, and you're more asking like what's the benefit, right? For me,
Yeah.
why why I wanted to work is because to be honest, when I finished my master's, I did not have aspiration of like, this is exactly what I want to do, or like this company is exactly where I want to be. I did not have it. I was just like, nah, top Japanese consultant company, so because I've done it, I've worked for them, so it was not that exciting. Like I did not feel like, oh, like I want to work for them. So I did not have that. So because I did not have it, I wanted to do many things as possible, sort of. So private
Mm-hmm.
company, the company, the international organization, the government. So when you do a little bit of
Mm.
like work in this different environment, you understand who you are, right? Which field do you like to start your career or do? Of course, it's change. It's not like just one destination. I understand, but I just simply want to understand myself. And another benefit is, of course, you will need a really good CV or LinkedIn, right? Like LinkedIn thing. When you finish your PhD, you will be able to write like three list of like this the projects I've done. I worked with this in English, in Mongolian, in Japanese, or I don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another benefit. And of course, yeah, like networking again, it's once you get into the field, you know the people, what they're doing, and it's the what you're doing right now might not make sense to you, and you might want to change even, right? So I see networking is always critical and important. And I'm a quite a human person, I like to talk, and when I talk, I understand what I don't like or what I like. So even now at work, I try to network as whenever I can.
Do you
Mm.
mind me asking follow-up question, Precious, or do you want to go? Can I ask a
Okay,
question
yeah, go
with
ahead. Go
with
ahead. Go
answer?
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm really happy you mentioned networking and stuff like that. But I have this question that be asked of me a lot by fellow PhD students. They were like, okay, they have a network. I know you mentioned you wanted to see what they do and you spoke to them, which is fine. But one
Yeah,
challenge that most PhD students have, or what they've approached me is with that, they have this network, but they don't know how to use it. I understand you have to speak, but they don't know how to maximize it. So they're like, okay, yeah, I've gotten it. So what next? So can you just give us those practical things you did? Maybe did you just ask them, were you keeping in touch constantly, or what did you do? Or and I know that at times when you approach some of them, they don't respond to you. Even when you met them in conferences or program, at the end they still don't respond. So how did you manage those little things? I think this is what people want to know. How did you
sure.
maximize that relationship? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, 100%. But it's not everyone gonna respond, and it's okay. Like I think, especially when I was applying to jobs, I don't know, I've reached out, I don't know, more than 10 people. Maybe two replied. So two, three, or I don't know. It's really like that percentage. If I like out of around 20 to 30%, yes, they reply. Other don't. So which is okay. I don't need to like talk to 10 or like 20 people anyway. No, I always, even when I go to conference, I try to like have this rule where instead of meeting 5 people and getting 10 LinkedIn, it's important to meet just only one really important person or two. That's it, you know. Or if you get to have a really good conversation with one person, instead of jumping to another person, really connect with him and talk to him and really like get it. If you, it's like, I mean, of course, uh, you kind of need to connect with the person, no, right? And your interest has to be a bit similar, so that way the conversation will go. But I will try to like really stay with that person and really talk. And my point here is just, it's not about knowing 10 people, but it's about knowing like really two valuable people that can really impact in your career. So I try to have that. And of course, I would really do reach out later on if I do feel like, they were amazing. I had many times where I went to conferences and I love their work. And, once you start to follow them on LinkedIn, you realize I just love exactly what they're doing, no? You like, and you're like, oh, I want to be like him or I want to be like her. She just looks amazing. So I would say later on, maybe follow up question and like, hey, by the way, like I really like what you're doing, and I'm just a student, but can you have like an hour? Do you have an hour? And I would always ask that, like, do you have a spare 30 minutes or 1 hour? And I want to just ask career questions. And I've done that with several people, and it's especially easy if you're working for, because I've done like these different works, right? So especially if you're working for these companies, you can just reach out to the senior people, so they would not gonna say no to you because you're already working. You can just say like, hey, I'm a research assistant at your company, but I want to hear more about your this and this. And some people did not reply, but some people really do, and they give you really valuable advice. And I've had like 2 3 mentors. One wasn't even in America, and I met her only once at the conference, but I've talked with her online, and they give you really valuable lessons. So that's something I do, yeah. And I really, of course, just genuinely aspire their work. So of course, I like, and if I really want to have like a one-on-one talk, I just ask.
Okay. My co-host, do you have any question?
Yeah, it's getting
Okay,
quite
great.
interesting, the conversation, I must say. And I believe that our listeners across Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube might have some exciting questions as well. So please, if you have questions, do want to drop them on the chat box, right? And of course, Tuxi here, Tuxu, and Tuxu is going to be here to give very good attention and details to respond to your question. So back to networking and working. It sounds similar, networking and working, right? Sometimes most PhD students, while we complain that most of them might actually can't find a balance, we still have other ones who do not even have these opportunities, or where they can find these opportunities to get additional work or conferences where they can network. So are there
Mm.
places where they find some of these opportunities, exchange programs for PhD scholars, and conferences, work, research work, and rest of them, collaborations for paper and all. So, we've been talking about work-life balance right now. Those who have enough time on their desk, right, and all they just do is their work, and you're finding somewhere or areas where they can, boost their networking skills or get more opportunities to do some work. So, where can we find those opportunities? Do you have links, um, access to some of these opportunities that we can share with our community of PhDs,
Yeah.
students, or
Well,
scholars?
yeah, exactly what I asked myself when I was a student. No, like where do people find conference? Like, how can I? Where is there a list? Like, I I was also really lost. Like, where do you find, like, where is the informations, right? And then I think that was something that was really challenging. Like, where should I apply like send my journal? It's like a huge question, and it's no one knows, kind of. So I think something that's unclear is always challenging, right? When you don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. And when you
Mm-hmm.
ask the professor and they kind of like wait, they're like, okay, but there's this list. And like, what? Like, isn't there a book? Isn't there a list? So I simply asked also from my senior students, that I would ask them like, hey, what's the best transport conference in the world? What are the best? And they say like this name, and then the other student would say different. So I would always just write those names and just Google like, okay, if I can apply. and I did apply for the ones that they say like it's the best, you should apply. I also found something through, like, once you get into, let's say, like for transport, we have this like a transport research board, and when they have a bit different like conferences, they would send those information. They would share it on their LinkedIn, and they would send it as a newsletter.
Mm.
Then, if they send such things, if their topic subtopic is same as what I'm doing, I would just apply, right?
Mm.
So that's like an additional source that
Mm.
I can get. So you it's good to be in like sort of association or any kind of board, get your email, and they will send you email, of course, and then that's how you will know, like, okay, there is this conference, maybe I can join, right? So that's how I kind of get some information through my professor a little bit, yeah, and a lot of with my
Mm.
senior students, and also like just subscribing to those new newsletter, or even like LinkedIn page. They do always
Mm.
reshare, right? So that's how I get it. As for work, um I was really lucky in a way that my professor really supported me, and I would always say, like, is there any work that I can do? Do you know anywhere that I can apply? Like, where should I do my this and this? So I would always consult with him a lot, and he helped me several times to find those jobs. So yeah, I was lucky in that way. Yep. So I would say just
Mm.
really talk with your professor, and like, I feel like instead of asking like really this open question of like, do you know any company, right? You can just say, I want to work, instead of asking like, can you recommend me? It's kind of like,
Mm.
it's demanding, right?
Mhm.
So I would say like, oh, I really kind of work this here, I want to work, like, I want to learn about this. Then they would tell you anyway. Or like, you just tell them like, oh, I'm currently looking for this kind of job. You don't have to ask like, oh, do you
Mm.
know anything? You just live there, and then if they find something, they would be like, reach out to you like, oh, by the way, because I remember you told me that you're looking for this kind of job. I found one, do you interested? Yeah.
Thank you. Precious, if you don't mind me adding. So I want to do something
Yeah,
quite
go ahead.
different and okay, quite different and funny. So doctor,
Mm.
please pardon me. So I want us to be very practical. I'm going to share a screen. I'm going to ask you questions. So let me quickly share the screen and tell me if you can see it. I was trying to sort that out. I hope it works now.
Yeah.
Um, so where is my window? I hope this will work. If it doesn't work, just let me know. Okay. Okay. Can you see the screen? No?
It's loading. Oh
Ah,
yeah. Yeah, thank you.
you can see. Yeah, but I want to first of all talk about the quadrant. Can you see this? Because I can't see you guys now. You can see that, right?
Yes,
The
I can
time
see.
management.
Yes, yes, you can see it.
So
Urgent,
yeah, so just for people that don't know about it, the doctor mentioned things that are urgent or not important, things that are important or urgent. So doctor, I want you to do those something for us. Now I want people to able to relate to what you're saying. Can you just give us like two things or two tasks in each of these quadrants in your life as a PhD student and someone working that were not important? Or do you understand like urgent, important, not urgent, important in each of the boxes, quadrant one, two, three, four. I don't know if you understand me. Maybe for example, quadrant one, urgent, important. I say, oh, submitting an assignment, or not important, not urgent. Maybe I don't know something. Do you understand what I mean?
Hmm. I
So
have a
that's
perfect thing to show you. I used to do this, okay? I used to do it on my
oh,
actually notebook. I used to do this like on my notebook. It was easy to just draw a two line, and I would write. So it depends on the week. Let's say you need to like contact to or send email to your professors, and that's really urgent. You need to do it first this week, and then I can show you actually. Can I share the screen?
yeah. I think you can share your screen if you want to. That'd be great. Yeah, so people can actually relate with it. Yeah.
Yeah, share screen.
So let me
So
stop sharing. So I need to stop sharing. Yeah, I'll stop
oh,
sharing now. Yeah, share yours.
that's now wrong. This one slides.
So while she's doing that, please feel free to drop your questions, and it's really nice hosting with Precious. Have we hosted together before? I don't think we have.
Yeah.
Have we?
I would do this like a brain dump, right? So I used to do this like urgent, important, but then I think since two,
It's so
I used to,
small. I'm not sure you can see it. It's quite small.
okay,
Yeah, Zoom. Perfect.
okay. So
Okay.
I used to do this where these are the list, yeah, I need to do. But I would put task type, it's essential or operational. Operational meaning like I can do it another time.
So can you zoom a bit more? Just try to zoom a bit more.
Okay,
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, great.
okay.
So is this on Notion, right? This is Notion app.
Yes, it's Notion. Yes, I love Notion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't can wait Notion app. I have no idea what that is, but please go on.
Yeah. And priority, and then when I do you remember that I told you like even if you have 10 lists, at least just have one or two tasks that you really need to done for the day. It can be simple as like edit the PPT and send it to the professors, right? So that task is the priority number one, the only task that I need to do for that day. So this day, it's I used to like I was 17th, and I would write that's the only task I really need to do, and other task is different one. Yeah, I even put like rebook the ticket, interview, edit, make a CV, like all of this. So, and I would like complete it. If I completed, I put it. So this is something I did every day, just to be like track of things that I'm doing. And every day it's here. So there's another day. The only task that you need to do is 𝐃𝐚𝐭𝐿 is another company that I was working at the time. So I don't know. 𝐃𝐚𝐭𝐿 question, and I think it was work related. These are more like Transit was another conference that I was sending my research. So it says that's the next. Sorry, can you hear? Oh, yeah. Can you hear? Can you see all of this list?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, these were the type of things that I used to do. So if it's operational, meaning like I can do it another time, then I put it here. So it's some are like really personal related, but mostly work and PhD. So I would do it, and if I complete it, I complete it. Simple. Yeah. Now, do you like? Can you understand what I meant by like listing it, or even like putting it into those table? Yeah. If I have my previous notebook, I used to have it. Like I used to have always like draw a line and then put the urgent and important. Sorry, I cannot hear you. We cannot hear you, Ikoko.
So thank you for that, for those explanation. And before I continue, I think Precious made a display. We want to explain that quickly, Precious.
Okay.
Um,
Which one, please?
the display you made on the screen, notion.so.login.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like rightly said, right? The easiest way to plan, your work schedule and your PhD schedule as well, right? Is using the Notion app. So this Notion is actually a very effective tool that helps
Yeah.
you balance your time effectively. So you can actually separate the important works, the less important, and the very important. So I just share the link. So if you want to try that out, it's quite easy to navigate as well. And on the Notion app, you also have some templates to guide you as
Yeah.
well. Let me see if I can also share some functionalities of the app. Let me see if I can share my screen. And the beautiful thing about Notion app as well is it's also great with collaboration as well. So if you want to collaborate with let's say someone, your friend, your team members, you can easily do that on the Notion app. A quick one, so I can just share my screen. So if there's nothing you're going home with, right? It's okay. Share screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
No. Yeah, it's coming up. No, it's just stopped.
Okay, let me do that
I
again.
think. Yeah.
Okay. One sec. So once you just go to Google and just type Notion login, right? It takes you directly to Notion. Then you can now you can log in with your email address or your or whatever email address you're using. Maybe your Outlook email and then your email. So I'm trying to that.
Precious, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear now.
Okay. So for example, this
We can't
is
see your screen.
Notion.
Okay. Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah.
So this is Notion, right? And this is my team task where I
Mm.
added individual task for each team members, right? And then you can see different targets for each person's, you know, we have that with dates. I think network is quite bad, timeline, and then you could choose whatever way you want to view your reports. I
Yeah.
think it's it's not responding.
Yeah, and just to
So
also add, I started using Notion only like last maybe 1 year, but
oh
people can have like just a different way of doing it, right? Some people like to write on paper, so if you like and if you have like to have your notebook, then just put like do those line and write it there. You don't need to complicate it in you don't have to use Notion. But I think there's just so many ways you can really sort of track what you need to do and what you have done for the day. So, for example, I just want to show before Notion, I used to that like priority one, right, on my notebook. And I also used to do this simple like a Google Calendar track. Can you see my screen? Where I used to color code my tasks. So if it's PhD related, it's in blue color, and I call the um, pink one play. So it's anything related to meeting your friend or even hairdresser or anything like funny things, right? And the other was projects, and then work is green. So if you can see just my week here, that's how my day or like week look like. So it's always PhD in the morning, no? So there's day that I even like played tennis here, so it's play. It's in pink. So every time when I put actually in the beginning, I used to feel bad putting pink color because it's not work and not PhD. So I used to feel bad like, oh, like it's a pink play. But then I used to feel not bad about it. Instead, okay, I need to have pink in order to have feel good, right? Or like it will boost my energy and I would feel great if I work out. So anything exercise, you can see the exercise are here. My friends meeting or anything, it's in pink. And if I read book, or I think it's even might be the book I translation, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a different color. So you would see like PhDs mostly in the morning. This week was so you can also see that actually my weekdays I used to work too, because some weekday you don't need to work, right? As a PhD, you're your own boss. So you can see my Saturday looks like a lot of like PhD here, and some days I work mostly, and this week is also looks like really a lot of PhD. And so yeah, that's how I used to also track what I'm doing. And because I think if you don't have this kind of thing, you kind of lost like whether you spending a lot of time on your PhD or work or anything else, right? So I used to track it every day. Now I don't do because I'm mostly only working. I don't need to manage, like different things. So this is also how I used to track my calendar. It is something that I just did for myself. That's it. At the end of the week or even day, I see the colors. Okay, I've done okay. It's okay. I even if I have a lot of like pink colors there, which is only play. I don't know. Like I found it funny to name it play because it's exciting, So my point is here is just people can use different techniques, different platform, different way to track things, but
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. One thing I like about other sections is that apart from talking about the scholarship, the work, we learn about different resources. I never knew what Notion app, or I never even knew it existed. So now, to me, I've learned about Notion app. So you see, these sections are very, very, very resourceful. A lot of things
yeah.
can come in handy. So thank you for sharing that. So, oh, sorry, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm just excited because when you talked about Notion, I realized there was this crazy list. Okay, it's crazy list. I'm even ashamed to share it. Okay, but
Okay.
I also want to share because it was so difficult during my after like looking for job, and I think you guys can relate a bit because it was so hard. Like, oh man. So this is the list of jobs I applied. Okay, job application. You can
Okay,
see.
this is interesting. Let's see this.
Yeah, and it's all the company name here, job position, where it was, status. Most of it failed, 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 failed. You can see,
Hold on.
no?
Yeah, sorry. Okay, you're sharing now. Can you zoom a bit?
It's a big table, so if I can zoom, you can see the
Uh,
only some part of it, I
oh,
think.
okay, okay,
But
okay. That's fine. Wait, yeah, good.
yeah,
Back.
so the priority, if I really want to get into the work, I put it high. Yeah. And I put when I applied in status, you can see failed, failed, applied, accepted, failed, failed,
Oh
failed.
my, there's a lot of. It's funny.
So
Oh my god.
that's what I'm saying. Like it's not people don't talk about the failures, no?
No,
To get the
there's
job
a
that I
lot.
really yeah, to get the job I really wanted to get, I failed this many times. I mean, mostly it's in abroad, so I applied like Singapore, Dubai, really different countries. But yeah, so I would just put the all the like interesting companies that I also think that it's nice, right? And I would like write to them LinkedIn, no reply, or like yeah. So even UK I applied and failed. But I also
Oh.
realized that if you apply from abroad, they don't really even see your CV. So it was a really difficult time for me to like I did this many years of right like study, but like I'm keep getting failed. Like what's wrong with me? So that was me. Like that was a bit of a low moment for me too, where I'm like what's the point of doing PhD if I can get a job that I wanted, right? So
Yeah.
uh,
You know, I really appreciate you share this moment because you're very correct. A lot of us share our success story, and we
yeah,
don't know that we don't share the pain or the journey, and this actually discourages young people or upcoming people because
yeah,
when they try once and they don't get it, they think they're not good enough. They don't know that we that got it, we did like I'm sure you had nothing less than 20 failed jobs there, right? Am I mistaken? Nothing less
yeah,
than 20.
maybe
No,
yeah.
that was a lot. I saw that.
That's
That
what
was
I'm
a lot.
saying. Like I'm ashamed to show it, but I have to.
No, I'm happy you did that because honestly, when people see your profile, oh, she works at World Bank, Tokyo, oh, she did 4 jobs during her PhD, oh, everything's easy for her, it's a walkover, she did this. They wouldn't know that you've gone through your downtime, and I think it's good to share that because when you
Yeah,
share that, you prepare people mindset, and when they face an obstacle, they keep pushing that they
yeah,
will get it. But if we don't share that, we make them think that once they don't get it, they're not good enough. So thank you for sharing that part of you. That's very interesting. I just
yeah.
want to take you back a bit. So I know you
Yeah.
mentioned your book, and I was trying to figure it out, how to share it. I want to share that now so you people can actually see what you translated. I think it's good for them to see that. So let me quickly share that the book. Yeah, so this is it. Just let me know if you can see my screen, please.
Yeah. Tuesday with Mari is the name of the book.
Are you see? Can you see
Yeah.
my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. So I want to share the. Okay, this is quite interesting. Now, um, have I moved to the next page? Can you see the next page?
Yes.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
if you can just help us, like, because I don't know if I need to zoom out more. Let me try zooming out. Maybe that
It's
might
okay.
help. I
Yeah.
don't know. This is good.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for putting this up. But this,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, well, I think I said the story behind it, right? Like I get to read the book while I was on a trip, and I ended up meeting the son of Mori, which I didn't know at the time. And since I got his Facebook, I realized that he was the son, youngest son of Mori, who's in the book. So of course I reached out and said, "Hey, I love your dad's book. I'm reading it, and it's a book that I want to tell every single people in my life, like close people, especially my parents, my dear friends. I just want to tell them to read this book. That was my like initial feeling. So and my parents cannot speak English. They cannot really understand English. So then I told them like, hey, buy the Mongolian version, and I realized there isn't any Mongolian version. So it's simply that, like, I want my parents to read it, to understand, and I I'm glad now that many Mongolian can read it, and it's really beautiful in a way that, book, or even I think book and also teacher is something really they can affect to people. No, they can really change someone's life, but you don't know how that exactly affected. You cannot really tell. Like I don't know how many people read it now, right? I mean, I do get commission every year for like how many book it sold, but I like just that feeling in general. Like sometimes of course I would get like many people reaching out and saying like, hey, I love your translation, and I like this and this, and I'm glad that you translated in our language. And yeah, so that was simply because of it. And I'm not a translator at all. But I just wanted to sort of do do it because I wanted to do. I felt like I felt a sort of meaning, let's say, right? My simple reason, first reason, is just to allow my parents to read it. Thank you. Ikiko, you're muted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. I just want to tell our audience on LinkedIn, Facebook, and here on YouTube. Please feel free to drop your questions. If you don't have any question, that's fine. You can drop contribution or how you manage work and school, or how you balance it, or what tips you have to offer for people. So please feel free to share that. So I have this question for you. Let's talk about. I know we talked about well-being, time management, things you enjoyed, and a lot of things, but this might be a bit of a repetition, but just you can just quickly summarize. Let's talk about personal development, because your journey so far. What has been, what skills or what area have you well improved on, or what personal growth have you gotten that you haven't? I know Precious asked you how working influenced your PhD. I know she asked you that in the first half of the program, if I'm not mistaken. But now let's talk
Mhm.
about personal development, because as human, it's good to have career development, but also personal growth. So, what will you say has been your journey so far, just being in your career, working while schooling, now doing your PhD, currently working, translating your book? How was that make you grown as a person, personal development? Yeah, maybe just briefly.
Yeah. Like 100%, it really affects you, right, in many different way, depending on what you're doing with anything. Everyone is growing on their different path. As for me, I think during that time where I felt like really lonely, right? Doing PhD was just a lonely thing. I think that time where I really grow up as a person a lot. Um, I, all I was doing was reading, writing. You're alone. You're not allowed to meet friends, go out, nothing. Um, so you're just like in your kind of this way of living where it's only you're reading, yes, writing, PhD, right? Only person that you talk about what you're doing is your PhD professor, and it's not every day. You don't even meet them in person because it's COVID. So it was just a really long, like a little lonely time. But I get to like really a lot of like exercising. I like worked out 5 times a week. Even now, I work out 5 times a week. That really helped me to really motivate like energize feel the best about me, basically, right? I mean, there's so many advantages of doing exercise, but that definitely helped me. And then when I was working on things alone, you really start to understand yourself a lot, right? It's just only you. So I think that also helped me, and I became more disciplined person, I think, right? Because no one is telling you to get up and do the PhD in the morning.
Exactly, exactly. Oh my god.
And then that's something, of course, I struggle someday. You just lay in bed and like, oh, what am I doing? Or like, it's hard to you saw my calendar, right? Not every day is
Wow.
perfect. Not
No.
every day is if you see the color, it's just like here and there. But at least I'm trying. At least I'm trying, and at least I'm trying to understand my system, where I feel the best, when I feel the best, or like that kind of thing. So I just simply try to understand. So that was the good part where I started to list myself when you're alone, right? And just find a way to improve it each and every day. Yeah, so that was something. And that, again, like that discipline was just the only part where doing PhD, if you've done it in time, and you have a lot of discipline, that's like absolutely like because that's the challenge where, and with me, like no one told me to work, of course, too, right? But I choose to work. No one told me to translate the book, but I wanted to. So once I sign up on something, I of course don't want to give up, but it's hard. I understand, but yeah, you just try. Yeah, I think that would be, I guess, different than if I decided to work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think we'll bring this to a close in the next 10 minutes. So I just
Yeah.
have a few questions. It's obvious that I don't know. Maybe our participant don't have questions now. That's fine. But it's an interesting conversation. So I have a question for you because you said nobody told you to work. So and okay, I'll just merge these questions together. The first one, what was your drive to decide to work? I know I think at time your the other host mentioned okay, I know I didn't join from the onset so I can't tell, but I know she mentioned this, but just like a recap, what was your drive to that made you to work? Number two, do you think working and schooling is for everyone? From your experience, of course. And number three, if you were to redo your PhD, would you work will you combine work and PhD or will you do something different? So let's start with the
Right.
first one.
Okay. So yeah, work, I think solid reasons I kind of mentioned, but just to recap, is one, when I finished my master, or around that time, I didn't have many like work experience. So I wanted to have those when I finished my PhD. When I finished my PhD, I did not want to just only study, as I said, right? I want to
Yeah.
put different companies on my CV. That's how I visioned myself. So once you vision yourself,
Okay.
yeah, once you vision yourself, like next 5 years, I'll be graduating, but when I graduated, this I want to do, right? You vision a little bit, like a bit of a sketch in your head. So mine was like just to work in a different fields. It doesn't have to be only a public company. I don't want to work in only one company or one type of company. Instead, I want to work with Japanese, international, public development, right? Any different, because I also want to understand myself. So that was the main reason. Second is, of course, if I can, of course, work well in certain company, I can just easily enter that company when I finish my PhD. I don't need to look for job, right? That's I guess another reason. But I think main also one of the main is the money, right? They paying you.
Nobody's mentioning the money. Please mention the money.
Right. They pay you
Oh
money. You as a PhD, you have a salary, but like for example, ADB pays you so well, right? Or like for other
my
companies, you could they pay you pretty good amount of money, and who doesn't need the money? So, uh,
God.
with the experience, you're talking to different people, working with different people, but you're still getting also paid as a student. It's a win-win. Like I don't. I remember, by the way, I remember when I first came as a master, some of my colleague told me, like a student told me, oh, you can do internship and then get paid. And I was like, then why not everyone does it? That was my question. And then I started doing that. So that was the reason. Sorry. And what was the question?
Yeah, the next question. Do you think working on scholar is for everyone? Oh, and
Oh
if
yeah.
not,
So
why?
if
Yeah.
I would do my PhD again, yes, I would still work again. I think, yeah, I would still work, but I would, I think, apply more for like international opportunities, because ADB, those kind of like a UN programs pays you well. One, you get to network with so many different country people, right? Because it's not only like Japan students going there, it's students from all over the world is coming together and you're doing this work together. So that's so exciting. Like I met many people and get connected on LinkedIn. And yeah, so I think I would apply to that kind of opportunity more. um, and I'm just a kind of person that, because I do gym, yeah, I do workout, and when I do my workout, it's like it's as simple as this: if you can lift 20 kilogram, you can add 5 kilogram. You can do 25. If you can do 20, you can do 25 easily. And if you can do 25, you can add another 5. So I always think it as like, oh, I just want to do different stuff. We're young. Also don't know what I like or where I want to work. So since I don't know, why not just try and see how it is? And I feel like if I did not work in this 4 different area, because the 4 companies are really different. One is private company, one is association, research association. It's very different. One is government, and one is the ADB, international organization. So if I did not do that, I think I just end up with one of the random company, and I would feel like, oh, this isn't something I want to do. No. So I found that like kind of would be a bit of a waste of time, maybe, right? Or like you also want to understand yourself where you want to work. So doing this for different company made me realize, oh, this is exactly kind of want to do. And even if I cannot get it, maybe I do this type of bit and go here. So that was my like sort of plan. And yeah, I would still work for sure. But maybe not work and not do PhD and book. Maybe not. Like two things at a time. I think it's manageable.
Okay. Okay, I think we keep bringing this to a close. So I'm going to
Yeah.
share Dr. Chimbat LinkedIn. Do you mind with them connecting with you on LinkedIn? Is that okay? I want to
Yes,
share
of
your
course.
LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
So I want to
Yeah.
share your LinkedIn profile here, and so I just wanted to just give any like word of encouragement, because okay, normally I ask for one word, but I want to ask for two from you, two different types, because I saw that I'm sorry, please forgive me, but when you share the job list, it's still because you just reminded me of one of my speakers in the past. He applied
Yeah.
for a scholarship and he got it on the 10th application. And the scholarship
Mm,
comes is yearly. So he applied for 10 years and got on the 10th time. I was like, what? 10 years? So people
wow.
would not understand what it is. They don't understand. So I want to kind of advice, encouragement, inspiration you can give to people.
Yeah.
One is
Yeah.
people that apply that do not get it, or people that just about work and PhD on
Yeah.
this consistency or this being patient. That is number one. So let's start with there. What advice we give people that are applying and they're tired, or people that applied once and think if they don't get it, then they are done for. Let's start from there. So you
Yeah.
can speak with regards to PhD and work. So start
Yeah.
with that advice on that.
Well, both of them actually. I when I applied for my scholarship, I failed so many times too. I gave up. Not give up. It was like I wanted to came as a bachelor, but I failed so many times that by the time when I was failing, I was about to finish my bachelor. I was already in third grade, so I was like, "Oh shit! Okay, I'm gonna just finish my bachelor here." So I mean, at the time, failing really does affect on your confidence, of course, right? Because you're getting failed and you feel like, oh, you're not good enough. So it's really affecting your confidence level, and you will start to question yourself, like, oh, am I bad? Like, what have I done wrong? Right? But then at that time, I really learned the way that rejection is just redirection.
I love that. Nice.
Rejection is just redirection. If you reject getting rejected, it's not because you're not good. You just like think of a little different way, maybe even, right? So when I now get rejected, I don't because at first when I rejected, yes, it really was difficult. Like I'm like, I thought I was good. Why? Why they rejected me? I thought I was pretty well like done. But what why didn't they? So it really was difficult, but then I started to like not take it personal. One second, I was more like, sorry, I was more like, I'm not gonna take that no as a no. I'll try
Hmm.
again. You know, it's okay if they're gonna say no this time, but I'm gonna try another way around. So that those two things, where if I get rejected now, I'm like, it's okay, fine, yeah, right. And then I'll like, okay, if you say no, I'll make you say yes next time.
I love that. I love
Yeah, so
that.
like I try to have that like personality. And then also I remember, especially during my bachelor, when I failed so many times because I had so much confidence that I can do it, right? So when you have that confidence, when you keep failing, you really start to question yourself, right? You cry, you're like, wow, like, okay, I'm really not good enough. But then what I learned from them experiences, of course, yes, rejection, and I learned about that. But also, when you think all the door is closing to you, right? All the opportunities, the new door, every door that you thought is going to be great, if all of those closing for you, I'm sure, like I'm really sure if you try one more time, there will be a big window that's gonna open for you. Like it's a such so different opportunity that you thought those door was great, but it will be like way better than those doors, basically. Like that's how I simply kind of see, because people often say, oh, if one door closes, the other door will open to you, right? But that's not the case. Like to me, 10 doors closed. Like what the hell? Like what's wrong? But then, even if all the doors close to you, there will be a beautiful window, big window that will open for you. So I believe in that. And yeah, rejection. Yeah,
Yeah.
rejection is redirection. So instead of trying to open all those doors, maybe yeah, open the window, and I'm sure you will.
Open the roof. Or create a tunnel or something. Just
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the yeah. I love what you said because like what happened to me today. I had to do some fake work and I got held up in traffic and oh my god, who's gonna host this for me? Who's gonna host this for me? And I had to start asking a lot of people, and I was amazed with how many people were willing to help out, which I didn't even imagine. So, like you
Mm,
said, like for example, getting Precious here now is really hard to get Precious. But Precious is she has a company whereby she does this for, and it was I was surprised when she said yes. I'm like, oh my god, thank you so much. So you're right. You
Yeah.
think they are great goals, but there are also other better opportunities. And also my amazing interpreter also wanted to help us host, which was also amazing. We're like, oh no, just help us interpret. That's fine.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, hard for me. So thank you so much. So the last advice for today, what um advice, what word of encouragement or wisdom can you give to current PhD students that are completing and prospective PhD students that are is about to start their PhD journey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
What
if
is
it's a
that?
wisdom. Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
not. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a wisdom or not, but
Okay, okay. Let me say this. Or what
yeah,
would you have?
no.
What would you have wished that someone have told you before you started your PhD? That would have been
Mm,
better. Maybe would that be better? I don't know.
yeah. Oh, actually, someone told me one word, and that really made me keep going. Okay,
Okay,
during
what's
my
that one?
yeah. So it was something like Tukso. He was 30 years old when I was 24. And I could not decide whether I want to do my PhD or not. No, I was actually 23 and he was 30. And he tells me, if I were you, I would do my PhD because you will be PhD in 20 when you are 26, and I'm getting my PhD when I'm 32. So he said something like that, where you start your career at 26, which might seem really late for you, but you will gonna take over me really fast because you already have PhD. And then I'm sure it really depends on each field is different, right? But he said something like in terms of your career development or career growth will be faster than me. And by the time you are at my age, I'm meanwhile I'm just getting my PhD now, but you will be already like ahead of me. Is what he said. I don't know if it's gonna be true now. But I was just like, okay, I hope that's true. I hope that's true. And I realized since I started working, I realized that because World Bank is a place that they really value PhDs. They want PhDs, right? Also, not many places are like that. So,
Yeah,
I sta-
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that was also a challenge when I always keep failing it, right? but but now that I started working at the place that they value PhD, I realized he's right? Because I have PhD, that it's something no one gonna take away from us. It's there.
Uh-uh.
So in the long term, if I also feel like life is a long game. No, it doesn't matter if you were like CEO or whatever, but in the long run, it does matter like how you perform for a long term. So if you think of your long career, by the time when I'm 40, 50, I hope that my PhD will be like, I don't know, uh, beneficial, right? In order to get ahead. And he said something like, it will make you go like get ahead from the crowd if you have your name in doctor, like if you have a doctor name in front. Yeah, I hope he's right, and I'm starting to understand that it's true in a way, right? Because yeah, just because you have PhD you get opportunity or more exposure, or I don't know, or they value you more. And again, as I said, not every places are like that, not every research field is like that, but to me, yeah, that was the one thing that I'm like, okay, it's hard, I understand now, but think of the long term, think of the 10, 20 years, you will be ahead. So that's something I was telling myself whenever I feel like maybe I should just quit my PhD.
You know,
Yeah.
the way you mentioned PhD, it's I remember when I was doing my first year of my PhD, and I was like, there was a time I cried. I'm like, why am I doing a PhD? Why am I going through this stress? Who actually sent me to do a PhD? And I called some of my colleagues, and they're like, it's a normal thing. We all went through that phase. You'll be fine. Don't worry. That it means you want to do well. It means you're not comfortable. You're growing, so you'll be fine. Don't worry. And I look
Yeah.
back and I'm like, yeah, I did. Why did I cry? Why did I do that?
Mm,
Because
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I guess everyone will go through it and realize it was worth it. Yeah. Now I'm glad I did it. After I started working, that's where I was like, oh, I'm glad now I did it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just amazing. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Doctor. I know it's quite late in Japan. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for again, like I want to say to Precious to come and cover you a bit in a short notice, and thank you for our
Yeah.
Twitter, and thank you for you too. Like I'm so happy to talk because I know it's hard, and I feel like I did not have any community like you guys. Like I did not have anyone who gave
No.
me like like how any advice or anything. So. And of course, not many people have PhDs, so it's uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Thank you
thank you,
so much for.
Commonwealth doctor. Always, thank you.
Oh, no, honestly, we're hoping that I understand it's 9 hours difference and it's quite late over in Japan. We
Yeah,
appreciate your time and then you should be sleeping and relaxing. And we're really glad you were here for us. And we're hoping that maybe sometime in the future you can come back again. Maybe.
yeah, yeah. Of course, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And thank you so much. It's quite interesting. I actually learned from you. And honestly, I'm so happy about the Notion app. It's
yeah,
amazing. I'm going to
yeah,
explore it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Like this kind of know-how is important. You like how to
Yeah,
do.
exactly. Exactly. One thing that I found out about this webinars is, like you said, apart from creating community, because it's good to have community, because when you feel that you're alone, you can just come over to these webinars or meet people, because some people also meet people here at the network. That's how we share
Yes,
the speaker's profile. And also
yeah,
you learn about things that you are scared to ask people of. You can ask here because nobody knows anyone. So it's an open space. Then you
yeah,
can also how did you put it? You can also learn about the know-how resources, because it's not just getting the word, but learn about available software or resources that can help you make your work easier, make life much easy for you. So
mm,
yeah, I really appreciate this. Thank you so much, and thanks to our audience on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and to our future audience that's going to watch the recording, because most times people we have these sections in the evening, because that's when
right,
most people are available. So, but because of the
yeah,
time difference, our evening will be 3 a.m. for you, and that is so that is so quite uncomfortable. So to those that's going to watch the section, thank you so much. And if you have questions, just drop it on the chat on the recording, and we're going to see it. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for me for interpreting to include our audience with hearing impairment. And thanks to Precious for coming in
thank
the
you.
last minute. Thank you so much. So this evening we're having another section. Let me quickly share this before we go. We have another section this evening with for MEC scholarship. So those interested in MEC for undergraduates. I think I need to take this out. Just give me a
Mm,
second. Sorry. MEC scholarship for undergraduates.
that's the scholarship that I had. Yeah.
Oh, oh my God! But you cannot join us today because it's been late in
Yeah.
Japan.
Next time
Oh my
maybe.
God. Oh, that'd be great. So we're having, I didn't spell this well, but that's fine. So we're having this one this evening for undergraduate by 7 p.m. Then next week on the 20th by I think 9:30. So 9:30 eh, I think 9:30 in the morning, which is for I think 5:30 in Japan. 5:30 p.m. We're having MEC scholarship for postgraduates.
Oh,
So we're
okay.
having that, and yeah, so that'll be great. So I know, Doctor, I know you cannot join us for this section, but if you can join us for next section, we'll be glad to have you as a co-speaker, because the other speaker, she's also in Japan. She's a doctor from Japan, so she won
Mm,
MEC scholarship for postgraduate. Yeah, I can send you
right.
a profile. So it'd
Yeah,
be
yeah.
nice to speak with her, to be a co-speaker if you're available. That'll be great also, and
Mm,
also to
mm,
network.
mm.
And she's also a
Yeah.
transport expert like you, so that'll be
Yeah,
great.
we'll be happy to connect.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and have a good morning, good
Evening.
afternoon, good evening,
Yeah.
everyone. Thank
Yeah,
you
for
so much.
everyone. Mhm.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you once again. You guys did a great job, and keep it coming. It's a great community, yeah? That's important. Like have a sisters and brothers. It's important. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you very much.
thank you. Bye.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. Have a good day. Yeah.